Alrighty, artists, what we are going to do here is get a quick tutorial on how to remove the background of an image and replace it with something different in Photoshop. So here you'll see that I have an example of my person that I selected and Lambeau Field, which were originally two different images. I don't even know that Marshmallow has been to Lambeau Field, so what I am going to start with is a celebrity of your choice for your project. You can choose whoever you would like. You are going to take that picture and remove the background, and then you can actually have a little bit of fun replacing it with a new background. So you have the choice of what two images you would like to use. We are going to switch over to Photoshop and get started with this tutorial. So you'll have to have those two images selected before you get started in Photoshop. And what we're simply going to do is open Photoshop. And we are actually going to start with the image of the subject, which is our celebrity. For this demonstration, I'm actually going to switch it up and show you Davante Adams and put him in outer space just as an example, because he's one of my favorite Packer players and he does amazing things. So we're just going to have a little bit of fun with the background that we're selecting for this. So when you get to Photoshop, we are just going to create a new document. We can do maybe like a 5x7 would be a good size for this. Make sure it's in inches and not pixels. You can choose the orientation. I am going to do mine vertically because Davante Adams is a vertical picture, not horizontal. Resolution can stay at 200. Color mode can stay at RGB. Background white is totally fine. And then we can click create. So once we have our document up, the first thing that I am going to do is get my celebrity onto my document. So I have to go to File and Place Embedded. Then I have to find my image of Davante Adams, which I believe I have in my own little Digital 7 folder here. Let's see. Replacing background. Here he is. Perfect, perfect. And I am going to play with the size a little bit. Want more of that outer space background behind him. So let's do something like this. Once I am good with the size, I can click the little check mark up here on the top. And what I am about to show you is how to remove this blue background behind him so that I can replace it with something different. So what we're going to do is, number one, I'll show you one tool you can try to use, see if it's successful for your picture, and I'll explain that in a minute. If you go to your toolbar, we are going to look for the background eraser. So if you look for the little eraser icon, if we right-click that, we can go to our Magic Eraser tool. It's a little eraser with little diamonds above it. So once you have that clicked, and oops, I forgot one step before we do this. We need to go over to our picture and rasterize this image so that it is easily able to be edited. So we are going to right-click the layer with our picture on it. We are going to go to rasterize image, which is, rasterize layer. Perfect. Now I'm able to edit that. What that does when you click that rasterize image is it changes it to a photo that is more editable rather than a vector image that is all determined by different points. So it's kind of hard to explain. We can talk about that another time too, but again, make sure it's rasterized the whole layer before you go and use your eraser tool. So again, going to your eraser tool, clicking the magic eraser, and at this point I have my eraser up and I can just start to click, 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 and try getting rid of that background. I'll show you where sometimes you have issues. So I click here and see how it kind of drags out his arm. I don't want that. I'm just trying to get rid of the background. So, and see, even here, it's starting to do that too, because that highlight on his arm was too close to the background, so it's automatically grabbing that. So some students have an image that works really well for this, and sometimes when you drag an image in, this is just simply not the best way to do it. So I am going to show you a new tool. So you can try the magic eraser. If it doesn't work, edit and undo, or you can start from scratch. Here's the other tool that I am going to show you, which is our quick selection tool. So now if we go over to the toolbar, we are going to look for, it's almost like an oval, a dotted oval with a little paintbrush. So it could be under your object selection tool, but you need to right click and make sure you are on quick selection tool, the little dotted oval with the paintbrush. And what we're going to do is actually select the image we want to keep for right now. So right now I'm clicking on his helmet, and I'm just kind of dragging around the outline of Davante Adams. So I'm being very careful not to go onto the background, because I'm just trying to select him right now. Okay, it's doing an alright job. Good, good. You need to make sure you look at everything, including, like right now, the number is not selected. You got to get rid of all these dots inside of the subject matter. So see how the 1 and the 7 isn't clicked yet? I have to drag over and make sure, this spot here. Oh, and see, on accident, I clicked the background and boom, it automatically wanted to include that background. So I'll show you how to get rid of that. But again, I'm not lifting up my clicker, I'm just dragging until I have this entire body selected. Now let's say I made a mistake, like right down here, this shouldn't be selected because it's part of the background. I can go up and I can, instead of doing the plus, which means you're adding to the selection, I can click the minus and minus that selection. So now I can go in and subtract by clicking that area back out. So now I should have a dotted line around the subject. And see, I missed a spot. So I have to go back to my plus to add to the selection, add that little Nike symbol on his jersey. And see here, there's a little bit of background showing, so I have to go to my minus, get rid of that very carefully if I can. So you have to play around with this a little bit until you get just your person selected. Get his hair in there, looks good. Now right now, what is selected is Davante Adams. We want the background selected, so we want the inverse or the opposite of that. So now that we have him selected, we can actually go up to our top toolbar and click select, and we can click inverse. So if I click inverse, the entire background is now selected. You see the dots go all the way around him and the background. So now, at this point, I can delete the background. And all I'm simply doing here is clicking Control X. And voila, that disappears. So let me show you again. I can undo that. If I don't do Control X, I can also click Edit, Cut to get rid of that background, and that completely deletes the background. How nice is that? A really nice image and a way to completely get rid of that background. So now I've got my Davante Adams. I am ready to add the new background in there. So now I am going to go and drag in my background. So I will click File, Place Embedded, and now I need to find the image that I would like to go behind him, which is this really cool like outer space image, which is already saved on my files. If you need to rotate this so it's the correct orientation before plopping it in, like it used to be horizontal. Because my image is more vertical, I am going to rotate by right-clicking and rotate it before it even goes in the document so that it's the right orientation. At this point, I can either double-click or click once in place. Now my image shows up, and I need to make this bigger so it completely covers the background. just like that. Once it's covering that entire picture plane, I can click the little check mark. And now this is on top of Davante Adams right now. I want it to be behind him as the background. So I am going to go over to my layer panel, and my outer space is on the top, which means it's the furthest forward. I need to push it back so I can click on this layer and I can drag it below the picture of Davante Adams. And now my background is behind him. So how cool is that? I could even add like football or something cool in there. I just love this. And if I look at this picture really closely, you can actually see Lambeau Field in the reflection of his shield, which is just awesome. So now I pretty much have my image completed at this point. I completely took out the previous background and plopped in something new. So this is a very, very cool technique that Photoshop has to offer. So again, before you get started, make sure you have both images, the image of the celebrity. You want a pretty big image. You obviously don't want something that's so small to work on. And then you want to choose a unique background to put behind that person. If you did want to play around with editing your photo when you're done, you can do that. We've learned some techniques with how to edit the photographs. So you can always create more layers here. So if I go down to my circle that's half black and half white, I can go here and add a hue and saturation adjustment layer, and I can play around with the colors of my photo, which is super cool. I can drag from left to right and totally change how this looks. Now, I obviously don't want his Packer jersey to be a different color. That would not be great, right? So we lose the actual Packer Nation idea here. We can change the lightness of our photo, the saturation, how bright that color is. You can have a lot of fun with this. So I might boost that saturation a little bit. I can go to that circle again and add a new brightness and contrast adjustment if I want. Play around with how bright the image is. So again, you can have so much fun with this. Contrast, you can boost that if you'd like, or leave it as is. And those are just two adjustment layers that you can add to your piece to kind of switch up the color to if you'd like. So feel free to have some fun with that as well. After you're done with your adjustment layers and things like that, at that point you can save your image. And like I said, if it's a working document that you need to come back to and edit, you can save it as a Photoshop document. I'm going to call it Davante in space and put my name in there. And again, if you are done with it and submitting it onto Schoology, save it as a JPEG. So if you're done, ready to submit it, save it as a JPEG, click Save, and then click OK. All right, and then you have it saved and you're ready to submit it to Schoology. So have fun with it. Have fun with your images, more importantly. Choose somebody that might be an idol for you, and then you can always choose a unique background for that image as well.